All right, welcome to the Fermented Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Anna.
My name is Tiffany.
And we are here at Summers Ina in Hawaii, and we are making some ferments for you guys. This is our third ferment video that we've made. The second one today in our current clothing that we're wearing. Trust me, we're not that dirty. We do change, but it's the same day. So we decided to bring you guys a video today on making CURTIDO, and that is like, it's a spicy El Salvadorian kind of sauerkraut. We're making it with, we have cabbage and we have, what is it? I need my phone.
Jalapenos, carrots, onions.
It's in an order. We have to do it in order, remember?
Stop filming.
We're back. So we are making a recipe from the Cultured Foodie. I will link this recipe down below. And what we need for this recipe is 2 heads of cabbage. We're going to use a cabbage and a half because they're really giant cabbages. And 3 carrots, 1 onion, 1 to 2 jalapenos. We're going to use 5 because we like heat.
They're really spicy jalapenos.
They're going to be awesome. But that's also because we're supposed to have a tablespoon of dried chili flakes, but we don't have any. So we might use either the chili powder or just probably we're just going to do just a lot of extra jalapenos.
Yeah.
And then we need a tablespoon of dried oregano, 2 limes, and salt. It says 5 to 6 grams of salt per pound of ingredients. We don't have a scale. So we're going to start out with 2 tablespoons per head of cabbage, and then we're going to taste it as we go along, and we want it to be the saltiness of like a potato chip, basically, is what you're going to do. So we're going to get it all in there, salt it. Exactly. Something you don't want it to be overly salty because it will not reduce enough to be able to get rid of that amount of salt, but I have found that it's not typically as salty as it starts, but it's just a little bit of a reduction. So you just want it to be slightly more salty than you would normally use. So we're going to get started. We're going to chop all of these ingredients up. We're going to put them in this gigantic big bowl, and then we'll bring it back to the next step.
Should be like a this one should go all the way down, like it should be.
But we can't get the
half-face. Put it over there.
Maybe I feel like maybe we need a shorter pot. See, because I don't know.
Okay.
Almost there. So I'll cut up the cabbage. How about that?
How about that?
How about that?
Good to me. Anna?
Tiffany?
Why did you decide to get into fermenting?
Mostly just for gut health. Like, I really enjoyed sauerkraut. Like, anytime that we would go and get, like, this is pre-health days.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we would always go to Costco, and I would get 2 of the big containers of the sauerkraut. I remember it used to be, like, out there, and I could just load it up. There was far more visual sauerkraut than there was even bun. Like, it was just sauerkraut, and then there was a hot dog with some bun. Like, that was it. I really enjoyed that. And then I think I'd started to do more and more research, and I discovered kind of just the amazing health benefits of all this fermented foods. And I was going through this kind of healing journey, which I'm still going through. It's pretty much never ending. And I just decided that I needed to enjoy the taste of it, and I just wanted to have more in my life and more in my body. So then I started to ferment it myself. I did buy some in the store, and I was like, gosh darn, this stuff is so expensive, and it's not like fermented the way that I like it. So then I just decided it was time to start learning how to do it on my own. So I went and started watching other people's channels. Like Off Grid with Doug and Stacy was a huge one in the beginning for me. I love all of Stacy's fermenting videos. And she was just a huge inspiration for me, and also Cultured Foods for Life, and I'm sure there's all other kinds. Those are just the 2 that I'm off the top of my head because I just looked them up on Instagram. Tiffany's new to Instagram, by the way. What's your handle?
Today, Purple Greenhouse 808.
Purple Greenhouse 808. I'll link below so you can find her. And so she's new to Instagram, and I'm new to Instagram as well. So we're just kind of going through and finding people. I'm not new to having an Instagram account. I'm new to trying to figure out how to use an Instagram account.
I just signed up this morning.
Yeah. And we signed up for Marco Polo, and we've been Marco Poloing people. Polo! So we're just having all the fun and looking up people. So those are the two that are just on the top of my head. But there's a lot of people that I really enjoy watching. You're going to have to excuse the motorcycles outside. My nephew, Israel, just got a dirt bike for his birthday. So they're testing it out and doing all the boy things with that. So
They're having boy fun on the ranch.
They're having boy fun, and we're not going to stop them. So you'll have to excuse that noise in the background. But yeah, that's basically, it was mostly the pursuit of health, and I really enjoy the flavors of it, and it really does, I feel like it has really helped a lot in my healing journey, because I'm pretty messed up. Like, I used to be very, very overweight. I was 300 pounds. I put on a few recently, so I got some more to lose, but like, I was really, really unhealthy, really unhealthy. And this has just helped me in my journey.
I noticed that you cut up the cabbage differently than I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to know if there's a benefit. The core you cut out completely, and then you took the core and cut it up into little pieces.
It's very fibrous, and so if you don't cut it up, it can be unappetizing when you're eating it. So I like to still include it because it has a lot of the prebiotics to it, which are really good for the bacteria, as well as you know, what they say is good for you to eat. And so, but it's so fibrous and so tough, and it's just is unappealing in a larger, like if I were to take a piece of core that's, you know, this big, it's much less appetizing than cutting it up into a little piece like this. So you still get the benefits of it, but you don't have the unappetizing features. It's a personal preference for me. You don't have to do it. You can cut it up right along with it. A lot of people cut the core out, but I find, and I do that typically when I'm cooking it, but for fermentation purposes, it's good to keep it in there because you get the extra food for the bacteria. So. This is going to be really big. I bet this is going to be 2 quarts.
Yeah. We might need a bigger bowl. No, the other ingredients are pretty small, aside from the cabbage. There's the jalapenos.
I think it'll be okay. So what I'm doing, none of the ingredients here, with the exception of the carrots, are organic.
I'm sorry about that. We went to the wrong store.
We did. And so I'm peeling off the outer layer, and then I'm going to peel off one more layer beyond that so that we have a nice lid to put on top of it when it's all said and done. You want something that can hold it underneath the brine, especially because we don't have anything to hold it, so we need the cabbage to kind of hold everything down. You have narrow mouth jars, right?
I have both.
You have narrow mouth quarts?
Yeah, both. Plenty of both.
I don't know why I call them narrow mouth. They're regular mouth.
Right, but they're more narrow than the ones that are preferable.
Yep. Okay, so this cabbage is huge. I can't figure out a way to cut this out. So one thing that's also handy, you can go ahead and cut around the core here. You can cut the core out, like in the beginning, right?
Is that what you did before?
No, I'm doing it differently. See, and then it's not attached to the actual cabbage, so it's a lot easier to pull the leaf off. And it's not as likely to get super broken up.
Put the carrots in there with the cabbage.
Oh yeah. So since we're going to be, likely this is going to be 2 containers of this. So we're going to set this aside. I'm going to do another half, and then we'll have enough lids to hold everything under the brine, and then we can just cut up the rest of it. So basically all we're doing right now is we're just cutting up all the ingredients. I'm slicing the cabbage. You can run it through the food processor if you want. She shredded all the carrots that we had. It's supposed to be 3 carrots, but they were such little carrots that we just used, like 8 pretty small carrots, and just kind of tried to make it be about the equivalent. If these are non-organic, carrots. You're gonna want to peel them, but these are organic, so the carrots are the only thing that are organic, so we can leave the peel in there.
The limes are organic.
Yep. Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Good thing, because we're using the zest.
Exactly.
And then we're just putting everything in the bowl. And then when we're all done, we're gonna salt it, give it a little rub down, and leave it to set for like at least a half an hour, maybe an hour. And then we'll come back.
Cue that video.
Yeah, we're gonna need a bigger bowl, dude. Do you have a bigger one?
Mm-hmm. What are you doing with your life?
Me?
Yeah.
Spilling it on the floor.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice any of that. Literally not a tiniest bit of that did I notice.
Switching to a bigger vessel. This pot is not big enough.
Because it was a cup and he didn't tell me.
We had an idea and may or may not have thought that it was okay.
Obviously thought it was okay.
Welcome to YouTube.
Oh.
This is Tiffany's boyfriend, Scott.
You're gonna love this spicy ferment. You gotta try it when it's ready. Okay?
Yep.
It won't be today, of course. We'll have to ferment. We'll be done here before too long, babe. And then we're gonna make tacos, and Celia's coming over. Can I get in front to you? Gotta juice them limes.
This is a lot of fermenting. This is gonna be at least a gallon.
It's a lot of cabbage.
Well, can't go wrong with a spicy sauerkraut. So I'm game.
Lemon juice. Not lemon juice, lime juice.
Lime juice. Jalapenos. Okay.
Lemon juice, lime juice, and zest. Check. Oregano. One teaspoon.
It's a lot of oregano, but it's a lot of cabbage.
A lot of cabbage. 1 tablespoon dried oregano. We'll start with 1 tablespoon of
No.
teaspoon.
Start with 3.
3
There's no way 1 tablespoon is enough for all of that.
tablespoons of salt. This is Hawaiian salt. And that's gonna start the sweating process, Anna.
Once you massage it in.
I learned something. Did we decide if we want to use chili powder or skip it?
I think I'm gonna skip it. I don't know. I don't want to risk ruining this thing that I know is gonna be so delicious because I don't know what the fermented flavor
And
of the chilies.
all the jalapeno seeds in there.
Every last one, except those 4.
Massage them?
Yep. Mix it all up.
Squish them too, right?
Yep. Just kind of squeeze and stir at the same time.
It's a big pot. I'm gonna be scared to rub my eyes later.
I would be scared. I did it earlier with the last ferment. Thankfully I didn't do it too much, but it was enough to be like, okay, stop. That chicken sure does like a pro.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear a motorbike? You should do your cute little Anna thing and be like, this is what we did, and I'll bring you back at the next step.
This thing's crooked, so we need to tilt to the side a little bit because it's crooked. Okay, so we got all this mixed. Well, Tiffany got all of this stuff mixed up in the pot. I feel like he's leaving now, so we're gonna wait a second. We're just gonna put a towel on top of it, and we're gonna let it rest for about an hour, maybe a little bit longer, and then we'll bring you back to the next step.
We did it. We did cord.
It's just so it's screaming at all the lens.
It's annoying.
My face is annoying.
Your face is annoying.
My face is beautiful. So it's yours. We have let this go ahead and rest for a couple of hours, I think. Probably a couple of hours. We had some stuff going on.
2 hours.
Yeah, like 2 hours. And now we're ready to go ahead and jar this up. It's a super duper simple part of the process. So we're just going to bring you in close, show you what we're doing, and then we'll take the next step. Okay? Okay. Ta-da! Venomous. So, got a big giant jar, or big giant container of CURTIDO here.
Just gorgeous.
And you can squeeze it. You can kind of see how much liquid is really accumulating.
It's very drippy.
Yeah, it's ready to go.
Doing it.
Pounder. Yep.
Scooper.
You don't need a crowd pounder. You can totally just use like a fat-handled spoon and just pound it in there. So we're just going to jar it up and squish it in there as much as possible. The crowd pounder does do better, but this is fine. And our aim is to get 3 separate jars, one for me, one for Tiffany, and one for my little sister, Chanel. Okay, so you can also just take your hand and you can push it in there. Whoopsie. You can see all the liquid that comes out, but you just want to make sure you're leaving enough room, ideally like 1.5 to 2 inches of headspace in a jar for a ferment. It's much more than a canning because you need that extra room for the water and the CO2 and all the things that's going to push the liquid up. And so if you leave enough headspace in here, it can have the room to push up but not out of the jar. Got you. So we might get a 4th jar out of this, honestly. You want to make sure if you're sticking your hands inside your ferment, you want to make sure they're clean with regular soap and water. Don't use antibacterial soap. If you have antibacterial soap, throw that crap away. You want just regular old soap and water.
Celia, do you want to check out the last part of our YouTube video we're creating? We're learning how to make this El Salvadorian type sauerkraut.
Mm-hmm. You can probably skim a little off of these too.
Make it.
So this is all like cabbage?
It's cabbage, jalapenos, carrots, onions. Oh, we forgot to add the garlic to it, but whatever.
Oh.
It wasn't.
And
the recipe
oregano.
didn't call for it.
I know, but I had a garlic and everything. I think a recipe that doesn't call for garlic is insufficient, and it just means that it needs me to finish it by adding garlic, because that's the true finishing product.
Are you playing any of the super old Mario games?
Yeah, I used to play that a lot.
Oh my gosh, Mario?
Yeah, here you go. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Cheers. I know you don't.
And
have
this
your,
is
like-
Celia. She has joined us for an evening of fun. You're going to be on YouTube.
Hi.
You're on
You're on
YouTube.
YouTube. Come closer.
Yay!
Making the spicy
Yummy, thank you.
sauerkraut.
A little bit of rosé to go with your
Yes.
sauerkraut.
Yep.
Exactly.
It pairs quite nicely, you know.
It kind of, yeah, has that same, like, gonna start. Does it start bubbling?
It will.
Yeah.
After a few days, it depends on how active
Go.
or how old the ingredients are. Like,
Yeah.
if they're newer ingredients, it'll ferment a lot quicker, like within a day.
I see.
And also, it depends if they're organic or conventional. I don't know why they call it conventional. It's poisonous. Poisonous stuff. How about that? It's poisonous stuff. But also, if you only have access to conventional produce, fermentation helps a lot because it will it basically tames the poisons and stuff that are in there, and it overcomes it. Like
And then
I don't know how to phrase it, but
Right.
like it'll negate it'll eat it. Basically.
okay.
It'll eat the produce, the poison.
The
that's in it.
poison and stuff. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
Isn't it? I love it.
Oh my god, that looks so good.
Okay, so next up we're gonna make the little the lid, the cap, I don't know what you want to call it, that goes on the inside. And so you're just gonna take a leaf of the cabbage, right? You need a closer view here.
It's to keep the liquid below the solid line.
So you just
Or
take this,
above.
you can cut it to shape if you want to. If you want it to be a little more exact, you can just take the ring of the jar and you cut around it. But I'm gonna go ahead and make it a little larger than otherwise. And we're gonna try, basically push it down inside. It depends if you're using the softer leaf part or if you're using this hard part right here.
Spine.
It'll be the spine, yes, thank you. That'll be a little more difficult to kind of push in the jar this way. But with the leaves, you push them in there and then you kind of tuck it around. Basically, you're trying to trap the ingredients underneath this thing here.
Wow, yeah.
And then if you have a weight or something like that, you can put it on top. Otherwise, you can just add some water and then you'll go through and you can see, you know, as soon as we take it off, there'll be some little pieces that are going to float. I don't know if you can see that in the jar, but there's little specks on top. It's a big part of why I don't typically use a lot of dried ingredients like dried spices, because they tend to float a lot. So, but we're going to go ahead, we're going to cover all of these with the leaves, and then we're going to get them ready to package up.
That's 2, right?
2, yeah.
You
3.
did. We did 3 of them.
Oh my god.
Yeah. She put my plucker together and we got it going. And
How long will it keep for, or like ferment for?
Oh, well, I'll usually let these ferment for at least a month. It depends on flavor, on your taste buds.
Okay.
If you like them spicier or sweeter, you just think, or sweeter, sourer, more sour, then you're gonna leave it longer. It just, after you could taste it as soon as a few days, but you have to be pretty lightweight to like it after a few days.
Yeah.
So I usually wait like at least 2 weeks, at least a week, depending. If it's a sweeter ferment, you check it sooner. One like this, honestly, I really don't see myself wanting it sooner than like 2 months. But I'll start checking it after like a couple weeks. I'll smell it. But you want to check it the whole time,
Yeah.
just to see
sure
any
there's
of
no
these little
mold
pieces
happening.
that are floating.
Yes.
The mold will attach to it. So you want to check it as you're going and keep looking at it. Make sure there's no mold forming. We're going to cover this up. We're going to add more water to this to bring it up higher above all the ingredients inside.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you just let it go.
You don't can it though? You just cover it and that's
Yep.
it?
That's it. If you can it, you
don't
kill all the
pressure it.
bacteria.
Oh, okay, so you don't pressure it or anything.
Nope.
like
If
that.
you do that,
No
you
heat,
can
no
do it.
heat.
You'll still have the flavor,
I see.
but basically you're using the lactobacillus bacteria in here creates lactic acid,
Nice.
and the lactic acid lowers the pH, and that's
Oh,
what
I
preserves
see.
it.
I
Once you
see.
get it below 4.0 pH, it's preserved.
Could you do that with beans too?
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
Beans would probably go a little quicker
Oh,
because they're
okay.
so high carb.
Okay.
Yeah, the bacteria really feeds on carbohydrates. So anything that's higher in carbohydrates will ferment quicker, like fruits or corn, potatoes, beans, things like that. Not necessarily like green beans, but like if you're talking like actual
Like long beans?
Yeah,
Long beans, yeah.
yeah. Long beans are really good. Those we call those like dilly beans.
The dilly beans.
They're so tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, those wouldn't ferment.
What are they? We call them. They're called the yard long beans. Even
Oh
when
yeah.
they grow.
Yeah. All right, so walk us through the next step here, Tiffany. You know the game now. You know the drill.
This came up.
Eat it.
Is it pickle? Is it vinegar?
No,
vinegar?
it's salt.
Oh, it's salt.
It's gonna take probably like 3 or 4 days, and then the pH level will drop enough, and then you just keep letting it ferment.
Okay.
So salt brought all the liquid out of the
This
vegetables.
is all from the vegetables. We
It's
didn't
like from
add-
that little top.
Oh yeah, you added like a half an inch
Teeny
of
bit.
water. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But so, we're gonna need another lid because we got another jar. You just cover them up. Put the lid on a little bit tight. Not too tight.
Not too tight.
You don't want to
not
crank
too
it like
loose.
man crank, but
Okay.
you want to crank it tight enough that it will capture it and it will keep the air from going in and out.
Gotcha.
And then you come through once a day and you burp it.
Yeah.
You want to show them how to burp it?
It'll start to bubble like that one
Yeah,
from yesterday.
yeah. And then you
And
just
then you
go.
just open it.
and
But
then-
you want to check for mold first.
Right.
And then you
and
close
then you
it back
close it
up.
up again.
And then you check it again. The next day.
Oh my god.
But we're gonna need one more lid.
But what you're doing basically then is sort of like yeast fermented. No, I guess
You're
Ye-
fermenting with bacteria. instead of
bacteria.
yeast.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you let it
Fermenting
go long, sometimes it will create something called calm yeast on top of here, and it'll be like a thin layer. It kind of looks almost like chalk on top.
I see.
And if it's not fuzzy or anything, it's just it can get quite thick. It's not harmful. That stuff is not harmful at all. But most people prefer to scoop that off. It's the calm yeast. But a lot of people sometimes will even just stir it right in. They're just whatever. Because it's going to start to settle. This liquid here is going to get like super cloudy, and then it's going to start to change color. The colors aren't maybe quite as vibrant,
Yeah.
and you'll start to notice when it starts to really change over into fermented.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's how it's preserved. You can see here on the top, you can see these things kind of floating
Yes,
here.
yes.
So we're going to have to come through and actually get these little floaters that are on top here, and we're going to have to take them off the top of the jar. But other than that, this thing is perfectly ready to just go, and you keep it on the counter where you can kind of keep your
watch
eye on
it.
Keep an eye on it.
Yeah, because you do need to tend it, especially for like the first week or two. You need to pop the top. After it gets to a certain point, it won't overflow. Like after a week or two, it'll be pretty self-contained, and then all you're looking for is just mold. Like you check every couple of days. Because if you leave it and you forget about it and the mold starts to grow, you can scrape the mold off in the beginning. My personal preference, if you're comfortable with it, you can scrape it off. But otherwise, you just scrape it off. And if you catch it soon enough, you can scrape it off. But if you let it go too long and you're just forgetting about it, it can get pretty funky. If you don't catch the mold early on. And if it gets that far, I'm not usually comfortable continuing at that point. But if I catch it in the beginning, there's nothing wrong
There's
with it.
nothing wrong with it.
Let it on.
Okay.
There's mold spores everywhere.
I know, right. Well, it's on
You know.
cheese, right?
Exactly. There's mold everywhere. You just need to be careful, make sure you don't get the wrong
Right.
kind of mold.
Right.
But if it's white or like green, like a little bit of green, like you're good.
Yeah.
It's no problem. Or if it's the color of the cement.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes the white mold, it'll take on the color of the cement. Like if you do like a curry flavored cement, it'll be yellow. So it'll be like, ew, that's yellow. No, it's not. It's just
It's just that.
So we got all of these jarred up, and these are ready to go. You want to keep them on the counter in a place that you will be able to check on it regularly, and you want to check for any kind of mold, and you also want to make sure you burp it a little bit, like Tiffany showed you earlier. But other than that, it's pretty well done and ready to just ferment. So we're going to leave this probably for, I wouldn't check it before the first week, personal preference, but honestly, I'm probably going to let this go for like probably a solid 2 months. And so we're going to let this go. We got 4 jars, so probably 2 is going to be Tiffany's, 1's for Janelle, and 1 I'm going to take home to make sure I can do a taste test with you guys later. So we will see you back. We'll see you back then, probably in a couple of months. If there's anything notable between now and then, I will show you. Bye. Welcome back to the 3rd taste testings of the day of the fermented foods that I made with my sister in Hawaii. This one is the CURTIDO, which I am the most excited about. I really, really love sauerkraut, and I really, really love heat. So I think that this one is going to be super yummy. So my sister already tasted all of these. She tasted these all yesterday. And so far, I've had the same opinion as her on the first 2. So we'll see about this one. She said this one really good, but it needs to ferment longer. So I have a feeling I'll probably agree with her because I like things well fermented. Come on. There we go. All right, got the weight out. want to make sure I keep it in a place where I can put it back in without having to recline it. Okay, so we're gonna dig in. This is the CURTIDO. It's an El Salvadorian spicy sauerkraut, basically. Okay. I'm about to blow on it. I forgot there's oregano in there and it really surprised me. Give me 1 second. I need to recover. I need to refocus my mind to absorb fermented oregano. I wish I liked oregano more than I do. I tolerate it, but I don't love it. I'm ready to try this with an open mind, knowing that there's oregano. Okay. I don't know why I don't like oregano that much. Well, it's not that I don't like it. I just... it's not the greatest thing. I like ever so slightly broken down texture, not mushy, not super firm. Like I like it to be just taking a step back from fresh, and I feel like this is almost there, but I want it to go a little bit longer, and I wish there was more heat. I really wish there's more heat. But anyways, the longer that you let these ferments go, if you are at a reasonable temperature, which is between like 65 to 70, maybe as high as 75, but no. Some people say that, but I don't agree. If you keep this between like really like 62 to 70, it's gonna do a low and slow ferment. The lower on the, closer to 65 that you get, the longer that it will take to ferment. And the reason that I really enjoy doing that is it develops all of the flavors within the ferment. Every single step that the ferment takes every day, it develops a new bacteria, it develops a new, which is also it translates into a new flavor as well, and it just gives it the more deeper, richer, more umami flavor. If you skip those steps by adding a starter culture, or fermenting it at a higher temperature, you're gonna miss some of those steps. It's still gonna taste really good, but it tastes so much better when you do the slow fermentation. It tastes amazing, and it's complex. It is just like, it makes you crave it. It makes it so that when you add the food to a dish, it wakes it up almost. Like, it's just like, whoa, this is really good. And that is what happens. That is a result of a low and slow ferment. You can do the faster ones. You can do the starter cultures if you're uncomfortable. Maybe if you're new with fermenting, the reason that you would add a starter culture to it would be to jumpstart the fermentation process, so it doesn't have that couple of days to get the pH under 4.0 to make it safe. And so it gets it there really quick and it starts to work. So if you're uncomfortable with fermenting, that's a great place to start, as well as these pH strips that you can dip into your ferment. I buy these at my local brew shop. I will link them from Amazon down below. You can see it starts out, I don't know if you can see, but it's a little light blue. And then you dip it in for a second, and then you bring it out and it changes. See, now it's like a green color, and you can match it up to here. And this tells you the pH level. Get it below 4.0 and you're good. There's all different kinds of things that you can do to help yourself to feel more comfortable with fermenting. This time that I went down to Hawaii was kind of, I don't think it was my sister's first time fermenting, but it could have been. But she's certainly very new to fermenting, and she has similar digestive issues that I have, and I feel like this would help her a lot. So that's why I was trying to help her get going on that, and kind of help show her and get more comfortable with eating fermented foods and making fermented foods. So just know and that a lot of the different things that you do will have an effect on the ultimate flavor of your ferment, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. Just know that there's going to be varied differences. Every little thing that you do can change the flavor of it, not necessarily for the better or for the worse, but just know that you can tweak those things if you don't like it the first time around. Like with the one that I did before, which is the chow chow. It's very soggy, and so I'm going to change it, and I'm going to make it with a little bit less corn, and I'm going to ferment it I'm going to start checking on it a little bit sooner than I did before. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned a few things. If you do, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel down below if you haven't already. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.